Bracing for impact. Tonight, Category 5 cyclone Narelle just hours from crossing the Queensland coast.
The latest from our reporters on the ground as far north communities prepare for the storm of the century.
From crisis to crackdown, the government takes action on fuel price gouging and supply.
Plus, finally, some cost of living relief. Southeast power bills forecast to fall by up to 10%.
Arson investigation launched after fire destroys a historic PCYC building.
The common low-cost drug that could prevent heart attack and stroke.
And Queen Mary back to where it all began and sizing up the locals.
This is 9 News Queensland with Melissa Downs and Joel Dry.
Good evening. The monster Category 5 tropical cyclone Narelle is forecast to smash far north Queensland tomorrow morning.
It will be the biggest system to hit the area in a century. Hundreds of kilometres of coastline is under a cyclone warning. As we go to air, the window to get ready is closing, with communities already cut off, waiting for Narelle to arrive.
We have reporters across key locations to bring you emergency information as it comes to hand. Pat Heaney in the warning zone begins our coverage.
Off the coast from Cooktown, Cyclone Narelle is brewing, barrelling toward our coastline, boasting all the ingredients for Category 5 chaos.
Strong wind, the potential for storm surge, heavy rainfall and flash flooding.
Due to make landfall tomorrow morning, her warning zone stretches more than 640 kilometres from Lockhart River down to Cape Tribulation. At her centre, wind gusts of almost 300 kilometres per hour. The Premier says Narelle will pack a punch.
I can't sugarcoat this. The damage will be widespread with a system of that size.
Still, some locals are seeing the sweeter side.
We're kind of excited. I guess no school, no work. That's the best thing about it.
Your windows to prepare and take action are closing, and they're closing quickly.
In other words, don't be blasé. What's your plan?
We heard about it, but we don't even live a cyclone before, so...
Are you excited, bit nervous, bit scared? How are you feeling?
Both.
For these tourists, there's been no French exit, rather, so you thought, come out for a fish.
Yeah.
Those who fear getting trapped are getting out, boarding some of the last flights down to Cairns.
We were flying out, my company flew us out.
Just getting out, not leaving it for the last flight. It's very, very wet up there.
For those staying put, there is an element of confidence that comes with calling far north Queensland home. Many have experienced cyclones before, but as this wild wind and weather sets in, many are being reminded that this part of the state hasn't experienced a Category 5 system in more than a century.
And those people need to understand that this is a severe weather system, and we do encourage them to stay indoors.
We've secured everything down and packed up pretty well, so we're feeling pretty good.
In case power and roads are cut, locals are stockpiling groceries to get them through, and other essentials.
We went and got some calming liquid for the dogs, and a lot of people in town went to the chemist and got the same thing.
And instead of road trippers, rescuers are rolling into town, ready for action if disaster strikes.
We're part of a 6-man rescue team, so I've been through 3 Cat 5s. Some are worse than others.
And if the worst does happen,
the Commonwealth stands ready to provide whatever assistance is required.
OK, let's go live to Pat Heaney in Cooktown. Pat, what will tonight be like for residents hunkering down there?
It will be an incredibly tense wait, no doubt, Joel. The weather has been intermittent. The rain and the wind has been coming in big gusts that almost knock you off your feet, as it's doing just right now, and rattle cars as they go down the road. And it's really such a dramatic change from it was this morning, where we saw those people just out here behind me coming and looking at the water. Now it's just grey and ominous. People are being told to stay home, to find the safest, most stable place they can. If that's with families and friends, even better. They are being told to expect to lose power. They won't have water after 10 p.m. tonight. It's going to be closed off by the local council so that it's not affected by the cyclone. And we are just hearing that the winds will pick up more than they were expected to as well. This cyclone is rapidly intensifying. So it will be a very dramatic night for people. We've just started to hear those winds come through as well. It's really starting to pick up leaves from trees. Little branches have been flying by. We will be heading inside very, very soon. But as you're hunkering down inside a home, that's what people will be hearing, the whistling, the branches flying and just hoping that it won't be too bad before tomorrow morning, when they will wake up to what is expected to be a 7 a.m. crossing, a cyclone. So that's what they will wake up to in the morning, those winds whipping by. They're being told to stay at home. And tomorrow, a very ominous day as well for this area. It was just 20 years today, Cyclone Larry, 20 years ago, hit Tully just to the south, and that was a Category 5 as well. Today, it was Cyclone Nathan, a Category 3, 11 years ago. So no doubt they are experienced with this, but as we have been told, this is a very, very big system. Melissa?
Yeah, tense night ahead. Pat, thank you. Well, weather expert Garry Youngberry is in Port Douglas. Gaz, how much rain will Narelle bring?
Oh, Melissa, there'll be widespread rainfall figures, between 100 to 350 plus millimetres in a 24-hour period, depending on embedded thunderstorms that could cause the flash flooding and river rises, so even higher than that 350 millimetre mark. Also a big tidal surge as well. If we have a look at the beachfront here, this is where high tide swallowed up the beach this morning. There is just so much debris littering the coastline here from recent flooding here in far north Queensland, and with hurricane force winds, this easily could turn into missiles. People out and about taking some photos, last glimpse before conditions really get scary over the next few hours. The ocean at the moment, well, it's plenty of white water, just an absolute mess, and there is a lot of storm water runoff that will make its way into the beach tomorrow morning and swallow up a lot of the coastline. Now, where is Narelle? Let's have a look at the track, the path. One thing that is consistent is she has been accelerating and deepening continually throughout the afternoon. Sustained winds well over 200 kilometres per hour, and we're talking gusts now up to 315 kilometres per hour. So rainfall, you can see on the radar for the entire state that mass of moisture spiralling round and being drawn in from the Coral Sea. That heavy rain will extend down as far as Cairns, with further showers all the way down to the central coast of Queensland. It's getting real now. The wind's strengthening here on the coast, and now it's probably only about 12 hours or so from impact, Joel.
Garry, a big 24 hours for the Cape. Thank you. Let's go live to Claire Todd-Hunter at Queensland's Emergency Services Complex in Kedron, where briefings have been underway. Claire, what rescue and recovery teams have been sent north so far?
Oh, Joel, the government has sent dozens of extra paramedics. They've also deployed fire and rescue teams, including swiftwater rescue crews, who are now on the ground with their vessels in place. SES personnel on the ground too, while the Defence Force remains on standby. And Marine Rescue Queensland is ready to be deployed from tomorrow afternoon. They'll be based out of Cairns. 49 extra police officers are now on the ground in remote, isolated communities across the far north. They've been using police helicopters to go from door to door between communities to make sure this warning message was received by everybody at risk in the firing line.
I cannot overstate that a lack of preparation could result in a serious series of consequences. The type of wind that is being predicted is the sort of thing that will blow apart sheds, that will blow caravans down roadways and create fields of airborne debris.
Now, as for the electricity network, we know that widespread damage is expected from a system of this size. Ergon Energy has 200 workers now on the ground in the far north. They've got barges in place, helicopters and generators too, everything they need to start restoring power. But Melissa, they're being told to expect some lengthy waits, as that's going to be very challenging to repair.
Claire, it will be. Thank you. Well, now to Australia's fuel crisis, and the Prime Minister is adamant national stocks are secure as he appointed a task force to manage supplies. But two critical energy hubs have been hit in the Middle East, crippling global oil reserves even further.
Qatar's biggest fuel export plant struck by an Iranian missile. Another hit in Saudi Arabia, Iran avenging Israel's targeting of its own gas fields, an escalation in the war that's triggering another surge in the oil price.
Productive capacity is going to be taken offline, potentially dragging out the energy shock for months, if not years.
The longer the conflict the Middle East goes, the more significant the impact will be.
Prices at the pump are to keep rising. Some regional service stations today paying 50 cents more per litre wholesale than they were just 6 days ago. The Prime Minister appointing Anthea Harris, the former chief of the energy regulator, as the National Fuel Supply Coordinator.
to support coordination across governments and sectors.
Her job to ensure fuel gets where it's needed, with the advice of every state and territory. The ACCC investigating anti-competitive behaviour by the major suppliers.
Any price gouging is simply taking advantage of people's anxieties. It has nothing to do with the supply of fuels.
My message to Australians is please do not take more fuel than you need.
We have seen shortages. The government's not on top of it. Now it's asking the ACCC to fix the situation.
Pressures elsewhere in the economy too. Unemployment lifting from 4.1 to 4.3% in February, mostly as a result of more people looking for work.
Our labour market has held up remarkably well.
But inflation from the war will be a handbrake on the economy. Higher fuel prices means higher grocery and farming costs, just when Treasury has downgraded its forecasts for productivity and fertility rates.
All of this economic uncertainty and volatility is a reason for more reform, not less. It's a reason to go further, not slower.
Andrew Probyn, 9 News.
And the Treasurer delivered a pre-budget speech today, revealing some clues about the May budget. Here's National Affairs Editor Andrew Probyn.
For now, Jim Chalmers appears determined to pursue potentially tricky reforms in the budget, which he says will have three major parts to it: savings, investment and tax. And it's the last of these that's really going to test the government's ambition to wind back negative gearing and the capital gains tax discount. Controversial tax changes are difficult at the best of times, but the fuel crisis has every chance of getting a lot worse before May. So in the next few weeks, the government will have to decide if it has the stomach for aggravating an already grumpy population.
The Queensland Government has dubbed the Commonwealth's new National Fuel Supply Task Force a small first step as petrol prices continue to bite family budgets. But there is some relief on the way when it comes to power bills.
The trigger is 12,000 kilometres away, but there are signs of the conflict at every corner.
There is obviously real concern.
Demand sending prices skyward, securing supply, the task of a national task force. And the Premier's announced Cross-Border Commissioner Bob G will be Queensland's contribution.
To come up with a national solution to what is a national crisis.
The RACQ welcoming the move, but warning petrol price pain will remain.
We're unlikely to see significant falls in the fuel price before we see peace in the Middle East.
I say to David Crisafulli, families and businesses have never needed cost of living relief more than right now.
Some relief will come via electricity bills. The energy regulator releasing its reference price down 10.1% for residential customers and 12.8% for small businesses compared to last year, due to increased wind and battery generation, reducing reliance on gas and hydro during the evening peak.
These are green shoots, but there is always more work to do.
The Treasurer quick to claim it's a consequence of his energy roadmap, even though it relies on coal-fired power for longer.
Opposing wind and solar and storage projects mean that these reductions are unlikely to continue.
The Treasurer also says he'll be writing personally to the bosses of the big energy retailers, seeking assurances any reduction in the wholesale price will be passed on to customers. Reece D'Alessandro, 9 News.
The war with Iran is entering a dangerous new phase. Critical infrastructure has been struck in multiple countries and the repercussions will be felt around the globe.
Rage in the name of the Iranian regime. Effigies of Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu set on fire in Tehran. We are all in mourning for the martyrs, this protester says. But the regime is increasingly diminished. Iran's intelligence minister, Ismail Khatib, assassinated by Israel, the third death of a prominent leader in 2 days. Its infrastructure also targeted, Israel striking Iran's South Pars gas field, the world's largest natural gas reserve. In return, the Iranian military vowed energy facilities will be burned and reduced to ashes at the earliest opportunity, and followed through on its threat. Iranian missile attacks on Qatar's main gas facility causing significant damage and triggering a diplomatic storm. From the US president, Israel, out of anger for what has taken place in the Middle East, has violently lashed out. No more attacks will be made by Israel pertaining to this extremely important and valuable South Pars field, unless Iran unwisely decides to attack a very innocent, in this case Qatar, in which instance the United States of America, with or without the help or consent of Israel, will massively blow up the entirety of the South Pars gas field. Donald Trump also lashing out at other allies over the critical shipping route, the Strait of Hormuz, expressing anger at the nations who've refused to help escort tankers through. I wonder what would happen if we finished off what's left of the Iranian terror state and let the countries that use it, we don't, be responsible for the so-called strait. That would get some of our non-responsive allies in gear and fast. Australia has joined a chorus of nations condemning Iran's attacks on commercial oil shipping, co-sponsoring an emergency declaration at the International Maritime Council. The question about why the United States proceeded with this war is dominating the national discourse as Americans ask if Iran actually presented an imminent threat. Trump's intelligence boss dodging that question today on Capitol Hill.
It is not the intelligence community's responsibility to determine what is and is not an imminent threat.
It is precisely your responsibility to determine what constitutes a threat.
In the United States, Reid Butler, 9 News.
After their high-stakes asylum standoff in Australia, Iran's national women's football team has arrived back in their home country. The delegation includes 5 people who initially accepted our government's offer of asylum but changed their minds. It was a long journey back to Iran, first flying from Sydney to Kuala Lumpur, then to Oman and Turkey, finally crossing the border into Iran on a bus.
A local PCYC explodes into flames, sparking a major Queensland police investigation. Details next.
Plus, incredible pictures. A train derailed, the mammoth clean-up effort now underway.
Sparks fly during an accused drunk driver's path of fury on the Gold Coast.
And after sport, the breakthrough discovery fighting both strokes and heart attacks.
Wild vision has captured the moment. Police leap from the path of an out-of-control car. Officers could only watch on as the ute continued on a collision course, sparks flying as the tyres wore down to the rims. Behind the wheel, a 21-year-old driver, allegedly drunk, who'll face a Southport magistrate tomorrow.
Toowoomba has lost a vital community youth centre. An alleged arsonist torching it early this morning, leaving locals devastated.
Dozens of firefighters battled with explosions as the PCYC went up in a ball of flames, destroying decades of cherished memories.
This is the moment more than 50 years of history is destroyed. Toowoomba's PCYC building swallowed by fire just before 1:30 this morning.
Oh, I can hear it crashing.
When there was a passing by Queensland Ambulance Service vehicle which actually observed the flames in the first instance.
Those paramedics calling on their colleagues.
Upon arrival, the fire was very well developed. Yeah, last night we had 9 crews and nearly 30 firefighters on scene, including an aerial appliance.
The inferno intensified by exploding gas bottles. When it was finally controlled, the sheer extent of the damage was devastating.
We've been on this site since '76 and actually been in Toowoomba since 1969.
And until this morning, hundreds of children were still benefiting from the club's sport and development programs.
It is a total loss, and will have a huge impact on the services that we can provide to the community. It'll be in excess of 20 million, I'm sure.
It's understood council cameras picked up someone running away from the scene, and that's led police to a 28-year-old man who's now being questioned by detectives.
The 28-year-old male person, yes, he is known to police.
He was officially charged with arson late this afternoon, with the focus turning to how and when the PCYC will return.
And whatever locations we have, we will certainly make them available where and if possible to PCYC.
Hataya Gripsky, 9 News.
A sticky mess in the state of Texas. A dozen train cars have derailed in a town near Houston, several leaking ethanol and corn syrup. Officials assured locals the chemical leak posed no risk, but said it could take some time to clean up.
Red carpets and gilded coaches have been rolled out for a historic visit by Nigeria's leaders to Windsor Castle. The royal family welcoming President Bola Tinubu and First Lady Oluremi Tinubu with arms wide open. During a state dinner speech, the King called on Commonwealth countries like Nigeria to band together in tough times. It's the first presidential visit in nearly 40 years.
Slash up to 28 cents per litre. Coming up, how you can beat the Bowser as fuel prices skyrocket. Money editor Effie Zahos breaks it down. That's ahead.
Health alert, the little-known disease to be triggered by Cyclone Narelle.
Queen Mary back to where it all began and sizing up the locals.
The expensive F1 treasure that backfired on a Gold Coast collector.
And the first in the Southern Hemisphere, the new cruising destination about to be launched.
Experts are warning Queenslanders in the path of Cyclone Narelle to be wary of the potentially deadly disease melioidosis. The soil-based bacteria can come to the surface following intense rainfall, the infection resulting in fever, coughs and severe chest pain.
If there aren't steps taken to prevent infection, we will undoubtedly see an increase in cases linked to this rainfall event.
Preventative steps include avoiding floodwaters, wearing protective clothing and covering up any cuts. 31 people died from the disease last year.
It's a homecoming celebration like Tasmania has never seen. Denmark's Queen Mary and King Frederick back in her hometown for the first time as monarchs. The Prime Minister joining them today before Hobart's waterfront was shut down for the royals.
In Tasmania, she was the people's princess. For the first time, she returns as Queen.
Australians.
A homecoming parade for one of Hobart's most famous expats and the King.
Very, very special. So we absolutely adore Mary. You know, she's the perfect queen.
Along the waterfront, a sea of mostly Danish flags. Locals and Danes equally excited.
The King, definitely also Mary. They are really well liked because they are so down to earth, just happy and helping.
Their day began with a ceremony at Government House and included a stop at the world-renowned Mona, the Museum of Old and New Art, the backdrop for a Danish electro-pop performance. But the day's best postcards came while on the Derwent, the couple enjoying a picture-perfect boat cruise, passing the Hobart suburb of Taroona, where Mary grew up.
Yeah, some good memories popped up.
All while creating some new ones, the Queen holding an urchin and even releasing a lobster back into the water.
It was a new experience. I haven't done that before, but it's very interesting to learn about the importance of the biodiversity and the ecosystems of this area.
Learning about underwater and above it, touring a shipbuilding facility constructing Europe's largest battery electric ferry. Mary gifted flowers, the couple joined by Prime Minister Anthony Albanese for the unveiling of a plaque. This is their first official visit to Tasmania since 2005, and while there's plenty of business on the agenda, there's nothing quite like coming home.
They are so at ease here, they feel at home, they are relaxed and, you know, they are received with so much attention.
Edward Godfrey, 9 News.
An auction mix-up has backfired on a Gold Coast collector after he purchased what he thought was an F1 treasure. The man forking out over $25,000 for what he believed was racing legend Alan Jones' original 1980 F1 championship trophy.
It's just more than a trophy because you get trophies for winning Grand Prix and there's a Grand Prix every year, whereas a World Championship is a pretty rare thing.
Turns out it was, in fact, a remake. The original trophy was stolen in London decades ago. The collector has since been refunded.
Easter seafood shortages. Why Queenslanders are set to pay double this holiday season.
Dreaming of your next getaway? Your exclusive new cruise destination.
Also tonight, Money editor Effie Zahos breaks down how you can save big at the Bowser.
Plus, a blast from the past, the resurgence of vinyl.
It was more doom and gloom on the share market today, but over in the music industry, a familiar favourite is making a not-so-quiet comeback. Here's finance editor Chris Kohler.
Since the war in Iran started, our share market has lost about $260 billion, not to mention all the extra money we're spending thanks to the oil price rise. It remained gloomy today, another 140 points wiped off the ASX, as economists decided that today's unemployment numbers mean another rate hike in May is still on the table. The Australian dollar slipped, it's buying 70 US cents. And it's already been a big week. It's only Thursday. So here's something a bit different. Vinyl is making a noticeable comeback, according to the US music industry. Total recorded music sales last year were $11.5 billion. $9.5 billion of that came from streaming, but $1 billion came from a resurgent vinyl. That money totally disappeared around 1990 as CDs took off, but it's on the comeback tour now. Who knows? Maybe cassettes and ringtones will be next. Probably not, though.
With the fuel shortage already impacting the price of various goods, concerns are growing around the cost of seafood, possibly doubling in the lead up to Easter, which is just 2 weeks away.
Docked on dry land, commercial fisherman Joel Main says rising fuel prices are costing him his catch.
They've gotten sort of quite high that sometimes it's not really worth going out for.
It means fewer trips out on the water.
Cutting back where they can, slowing equipment down if they can as well.
Sparking a looming seafood shortage in the lead up to Good Friday.
It's going to be bad. Less fish, I reckon, because they're not going to be able to go out.
Leaving fishmonger Michael Azzopardi and other seafood vendors with no choice.
Price will have to be passed on. Simple as that. Price of fuel's gone up, so everything's going to go up.
Loyal customers are ready to make compromises.
We might have to buy a little bit less, but I'll continue to buy, yes, absolutely, because it's one of the best foods to eat.
We buy it ahead of time and it's always cheaper.
With no sign of the Middle East conflict easing, the fishing industry is raising the alarm if the federal government doesn't increase the fuel subsidy.
It definitely could send a few broke.
All industry is entitled to put case to governments. What we're doing is work to get as much fuel to fishing companies and others as possible.
Traders here feel they will be able to cope with the disruptions to their Easter catch, but they're more worried about the industry long term. Many are stocking up with frozen products in preparation for what's to come. Knowing fresh will always be best.
I'll rather pass on the cost to the customer and maintain quality instead of dropping my quality and having frozen stock in the shop.
Eliza Rugg, 9 News.
So let's take a look at southeast petrol prices now. The average for unleaded in Brisbane is $2.32. Diesel is just under $2.80. The average on the Gold Coast is $2.31.
It's the first of its kind in the Southern Hemisphere, a beach club on a private island, accessible via cruise ship. Passengers aboard Royal Caribbean's Anthem of the Seas, or Voyager of the Seas, will be among the first to experience Royal Beach Club La Lepa in Vanuatu. The destination will welcome holidaymakers from October next year.
Surprising support for under-fire Broncos coach Michael Maguire amid explosive criticism. A course intruder wreaks havoc at the WPGA Championship on the Gold Coast.
Fighting strokes and heart attacks, the new breakthrough discovery. Those details after sport.
And good evening from Port Douglas as we nervously await the most severe tropical cyclone to hit far north Queensland in over a decade.
Craig Bellamy has issued an impassioned defence of under-fire Broncos coach Michael Maguire. The Storm boss lamenting growing criticism of Brisbane's premiership-winning mentor before tomorrow's grand final rematch.
A maroon flavour in Storm camp before battling the Broncos. Craig Bellamy issuing the strongest of support for an under-fire Michael Maguire.
I would find it hard to believe the guy that won, was the coach of a grand final win side 6 months ago would be under pressure. That's ridiculous.
Maguire adamant growing criticism of him for Brisbane's woeful start to their premiership defence isn't affecting him personally.
Not at all. No, at the end of the day, I would look after my players and my captain, and that's my viewpoint, and everyone else is their viewpoint too.
Forced to defend his decision to rule captain Adam Reynolds out of tomorrow's grand final rematch.
Look, I actually thought he was going to be able to play, but he was just unfortunate, just couldn't make the trip down. But he'll be right next week. Well, I think he will be.
The Broncos boss also explaining changes to the club's travel plans, arriving in Melbourne a day early.
Yeah, we had a couple of little hurdles there last time we came down with a few of our players, so we just felt it was the right thing to do. Come down a day early and train today and spend a bit of time together prior to the game tomorrow.
Where the Broncos will need to shut down Su'Fa'alongo, the NRL's new fullback phenomenon, reaping the rewards of having Maroons coach Billy Slater in his corner.
Billy's great with him, obviously not too many better mentors as a fullback than Billy Slater, so Sue was going into every time he meets Billy, you know, looking forward to learn something else or just getting that encouragement from Billy.
Matthew Simbakis, 9 News.
And round 3 kicks off tonight on 9 with the Raiders taking on the Bulldogs in Canberra. That's where we find Maroons legend Jonathan Thurston. JT, Josh Papali'i returns for the Raiders tonight. How big of an inclusion is he?
Yeah, Bronte is a huge inclusion for the Raiders. They certainly missed them over in Auckland last week with the second half capitulation. So having Big Papa's back will certainly provide them with some go forward and really some steely defence in the middle part of the field, which is what they missed last week. So a huge inclusion for the Raiders.
And the Bulldogs have been in the headlines this week after Bronson Xerri was dropped. What effect will that have on the Bulldogs?
Yeah, I'm not too sure. We're about to find out what effect it'll have on them. They've been in the headlines for all the wrong reasons. One thing I know about the Bulldogs, they certainly stand up when they're faced with adversity. So they're down here in Canberra. They haven't had too many wins down here other than that epic win last year. So we'll get a real good understanding of what type of football club the Bulldogs are here tonight.
Thank you, JT. Enjoy the rain down there on the sideline. It looks very wet. After returning 3 weeks ahead of schedule from a knee reconstruction, Max Plath is now plotting a plan to remain the Dolphins' long-term starting hooker, despite the impending return of Kurt Donahue and Jeremy Marshall-King.
I prefer to start. I like the first interchanges of the game, the first 20 minutes. I like it where it's fast and physical. I'm sure Kurt likes it too.
Plath is backing Tom Flegler to play through the pain of a rib cartilage injury. The Dolphins will ultimately decide tomorrow whether the forward will face the Sharks in Sydney on Saturday. It's a State of Origin grudge match for the WNCL Premiership this weekend. The Queensland Fire head to Sydney looking to flip the script after watching the Breakers lift the trophy in Brisbane last year.
Queensland are coming in as underdogs because New South have played really good cricket all season. They've been outright on the leaderboard by multiple points, so it's really theirs to lose.
Harris hopeful a match-winning knock will secure her a T20 World Cup ticket, with the Queenslander a shock omission for Australia's upcoming West Indies tour. The Matildas deny Saturday night's Asian Cup final against Japan is mission impossible. The Aussies go in as underdogs after Japan's blistering 4-1 win over South Korea in their semi-final.
It's definitely not mission impossible. You know, we've beaten Japan before. We have our own strength that I'm sure that they'll be looking at and they'll be worried about. But yeah, I think as well, the fact that it's a final, you know, anything can happen.
The Matildas don't have a great record against Japan in Asian Cup finals, losing in 2014 and 2018, but we know they can break that streak now. Liverpool has pulled its Champions League dream out of the fire, powering in the quarterfinals with a leg down 1-0, 3 second-half goals, but that wasn't enough. Locals couldn't get enough of the action at the WPGA Championship at Sanctuary Cove. One Kangaroo getting up close to competitors on the 18th hole. The Australian they're chasing on the leaderboard is Hannah Green, equal second after shooting a bogeyless 65 in the opening round, as the West Aussie looks to add to her Australian Open title from Adelaide last week. Melissa Joel, I know that little Roo had a bit of fun out on the course. He delayed play for a little while, but they were able to get back underway after a couple of minutes.
Yep, clearly a golf fan he was. Thank you, Bronte. Well, Australian doctors are hoping a low-cost drug already used to treat gout could be the key to helping patients with heart disease. A new trial is using the medication to target blocked arteries, which could help save lives and limbs.
Esther Crutchfield is a patient at this vascular clinic at Box Hill Hospital. A narrowed artery in her left leg had impacted the 75-year-old's mobility.
It's just numbness. You know, my leg was like wooden.
Peripheral artery disease affects 1 in 5 older Australians. You can see the blockage on ultrasound. The red signals the severity of disease.
It's often referred to, unfortunately, as the Cinderella of cardiovascular disease. It's unrecognised.
The build-up of plaque managed the same way as heart disease, and while presentations are not as dramatic as heart attacks,
5-year mortality for peripheral artery disease patients is 20 to 30%, which is as high as some aggressive malignancies.
it can lead to amputations, the risk of having a heart attack or stroke also greater. This anti-inflammatory medication, commonly used for gout, called colchicine, has been shown to benefit the heart in low doses, but its effects on the limbs are now the focus of a new trial to prevent complications.
It's cheap, safe, orally available and can be used long term.
More than 6,000 patients are being recruited globally. 1,000 of them will be enrolled in Australia. The study here funded by the government's Medical Research Future Fund. Esther welcomes the new research after a stent was inserted to keep her mobile.
If you don't mobile enough, you don't have quality of life.
Gabriella Rogers, 9 News.
Slash your fuel bill. As petrol prices soar, we have your tips and tricks to beat the Bowser. Money editor Effie Zahos breaks it down next.
But first, Garry joins us again. Gaz, we've had a bit of rain across the southeast today.
Absolutely, Joel. In fact, checking the rain gauges, I think there was more rain in southeast Queensland than here in Port Douglas today, but that will change into tomorrow. In fact, heavier falls are expected overnight. The showers to stick around in southeast Queensland for a few days. We'll have a look at the radar and check some of the rainfall figures with your forecast up next.
With the price of fuel front of mind for Queensland motorists, many are looking for any way to find some relief. Nine's money editor Effie Zahos has some tips.
Beating the Bowser now takes more than just one discount docket. It takes a stack. By stacking discounts, you could effectively slash up to 28 cents a litre. First, buy your fuel using a discounted gift card. You can pick these up through motoring clubs, health insurers, or if you don't mind waiting for the savings, cashback sites. Next, use supermarket discounts. Scan your Flybys or Everyday Rewards card to land a 4 cent per litre discount. Step 3, stack these with state-based motoring club discounts and you could get another saving of up to 10 cents per litre. Finally, add in a store spend like a chocolate bar or a sandwich and unlock discounts of up to 10 cents per litre. Yes, you do have to spend to save here. Combine 4 stackable offers, a gift card, a shopping voucher, a motor app and an in-store spend, and you could effectively save up to 28 cents a litre. Now, this does take some elbow grease, but the easiest savings could be the flick of a switch.
We've done some tests and it looks like between 3 and 4% in using an economy drive mode in your car. And if you add on top of that just a little bit less enthusiasm on the throttle, you can add about another 4%.
If you drive hard, you pay more. Sport mode can use up to 26% more fuel.
Moving to a more relaxed driving method, taking extra weight and wind resistance away from your car and pumping your tyres up, which all costs nothing, could probably stretch you somewhere between 15 and 20% extra economy.
Bottom line, use a fuel app to find the cheapest price, stack your discounts, then make that tank last.
Garry is back now with your full weather forecast from Port Douglas. Gaz, what's the latest on Cyclone Narelle?
Well, Joel, Narelle's still a severe tropical cyclone, Category 5. It's only been intensifying throughout the afternoon. Less than 200 kilometres now east-northeast from Cooktown and expected to cross the coast or hit landfall probably just after sunrise at this stage. Still travelling in a west-southwesterly direction at about 26 kilometres per hour and expecting some very heavy rain to start overnight throughout tomorrow morning. Southeast Queensland, well, a few showers today. Let's have a quick look at the radar. This is how the day unfolded. There were a lot of falls in that 1 to 10 millimetre range. Some isolated falls of 10 to 20 millimetres. Slacks Creek picked up 21 millimetres today, and I'm afraid that's your forecast for the next few days. Let's have a look at temperatures with our flyover. Well below average under the cloud and shower activity. Most of the suburbs only reaching the mid-20s. Gatton the top hitting officially 28.5 degrees. The Golden Sunshine Coast 27, Brisbane only 25. The weather map, severe tropical cyclone Narelle bringing destructive winds and flooding rain across far north Queensland, with landfall expected early tomorrow morning. For the capitals, sunny and hot in Perth, partly cloudy Adelaide and mid-20s, cloudy and low 20s Melbourne and Hobart, showers in Sydney, possible storm Canberra, showers and storms in Darwin. Queensland tomorrow, the heaviest rain will be north of Cairns, but rain and thunderstorms for Cairns with possible flash flooding. Townsville showers and the chance of a morning thunderstorm. Mackay an early shower or two. Rocky and Gladstone partly cloudy with a chance of a shower. Bundaberg, Maryborough and Gympie a few scattered showers. Inland will be partly cloudy, mid-30s around Mount Isa and Longreach, low 30s for Roma. Southeast Queensland, a few showers, likely morning and again afternoon. Light to moderate east to southeasterly winds. Temperatures tomorrow mid to high 20s. Moreton Bay, southeast 10 to 15 knots. The seas will be below 1 metre on the bay. Brisbane, partly cloudy, a few showers atop 28 degrees. Your outlook Saturday, a few showers, possible afternoon storm. Sunday, scattered showers with an afternoon storm. Monday, morning showers. Ipswich, a few showers over the weekend with possible afternoon storms. Monday, a shower or two. Tuesday, slight chance of a shower, partly cloudy Wednesday. Gold Coast, scattered showers over the weekend with afternoon thunderstorms possible. Slightly heavier falls Sunday and into Monday. Sunshine Coast, scattered showers Saturday, showers and thunderstorms likely Sunday, scattered showers Monday and also into Tuesday. But heavy rain expected here in Port Douglas overnight. Hurricane force winds north of Cooktown. We'll be back tomorrow morning before sunrise on the Today Show, bringing you the latest from far north Queensland, guys.
We'll see you then. Thanks, Garry. Before we go, a big thank you to everyone who came to the Shingle Inn at the Logan Home Hyperdome to say hello this morning. It was wonderful to meet so many of you, share a chat and a coffee, and of course to raise some money for the upcoming 9 telethon supporting Mater Little Miracles. There will be another chance to catch up next week. We will have those details soon.
And that is 9 News Queensland for this evening. Ali Langdon is next with a current affair.
Thanks for your company from all of the team. Have a wonderful evening. Enjoy the footy. Good night.
Good night.